Welcome to Custom Homebuilders Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software designed specifically for the professional home builder. Hi everybody, this is Carol King, the developer of Custom Homebuilders Solutions, also known as CHS, and welcome to CHS. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the first thing that you will see when you open CHS will be the main menu. And I'm going to discuss how to use this main menu basically for navigation around CHS. Now I'd like to point out that there's a tab up here that says main menu and that there's a tab that says home. Actually, this main menu is actually going to end up under the home tab. It happens to be that we are in the middle of a transition from an old menu to this new menu, and I'm letting users still use their old menu for a little bit, but this is going to move to the home tab eventually. So it'll be under the home tab. This is the old menu, and current users can check out the new menu by clicking this coming soon, click this to try new main menu. All of this will go away, but I just wanted to say that right up front. This is basically what you will see in a very short time when you open CHS, and you won't see that old one anymore, and this will say home, and by clicking home you'll return to this main menu. So one of the first things you see up here is that CHS support is provided by phone and not by email. The reason that I do that is that it turns out that email is hard, sometimes hard for people to write about something they'd like to ask about, etc. And it's hard sometimes for me to maybe understand it in an email, and it provides much better support if we just talk on the phone. Then I can immediately, or any of my CHS support staff can immediately ask questions about what you mean, what screen you're on, where something might have happened that you wonder about, things that you're trying to do. So first of all, if you're having an issue, like just suddenly real funny behavior that you're not used to, things are acting really odd, we are working in a web browser that is run by your own machine, and there could be things going on with your machine all of a sudden, whether you actually have lost internet access, whether something's wrong with your router cables, that kind of thing. And sometimes it might be that you need to get your computer technician in, because this browser that I'm in, when I'm in a browser like this, is being run by my machine, and if I have too many things open, I've been on here for too long, all kinds of things. Every once in a while browsers can just act kind of funny. One thing that's funny is that I'll go ahead and mention this critical info box down here. I hate that I have to put this here, but Firefox, sometimes on pop-up messages that we're trying to give you in CHS or a pop-up window where we're saying go to somewhere else, Firefox will suddenly in our message insert this box about prevent this page from creating additional dialogues. What they're trying to do is help you with pop-up spam things. Well, I will tell you in CHS there is not any pop-up spam, and I'm warning you, do not check this box to prevent additional pop-ups, because the pop-ups that CHS does will lead to some other action that you're taking. If that pop-up never happens, it may feel like your screen just froze. So that's why I have this down here. If you accidentally check mark that box, there's a link here to tell you what to try to do so that Firefox quits thinking that you don't want pop-ups. The other thing to do, there's some troubleshoot tips here. I'm mentioning that it's controlled by your thing. If you start experiencing these various things, one of the first things to try is just shut down your browser completely with the top right X button. Try to log off and then shut your browser down completely. If you're frozen or something weird is happening, you might have to just use the top X to get your browser all the way closed down. Closing down the browser can completely clear out some of its issues temporarily, but your browser issues can be avoided with a healthy environment. And one major culprit of slowdown is that you're tracking history. So you might want to use your option tools up here. In Firefox it's 3 bars. I think in Internet Explorer it's a gear wheel. And then I think in Chrome it's 3 dots, but look around and maybe you, if it's okay with you, you stop tracking history. I'd like you to just read this. There's some other information, but if closing down your browser, then reopening CHS does not stop some odd behavior, your next step is that you should try rebooting your machine. There can be things that have happened because you've installed other programs, other stuff has happened. Sometimes that can also affect your print windows and your reports and then printing. So if anything gets installed, you want to check this information out here. So I just wanted to point that out. There's troubleshoot tips right up here that you might check before calling, just because it'll give you some good tips. But please call us rather than email. It really takes a lot longer. You're usually not in front of your computer where I can ask questions. And I'd like for you to call and then be at your computer when you call, when you're experiencing something that you'd like to ask about on a window. So the next thing here is there's a few buttons across the top of the menu, things that you go to quite often. One of them is an active jobs dashboard, and I'll do another video in the usage tips about that, where you select a job and then you can go, this is essentially another menu, but it's for all the things for one job that you can go do, like work on their budget, look at their actual costs, edit the job setup, etc., etc. So that's one thing you might open and keep open. And then of course something that maybe if the owner is getting on or the top person in your company wants to do and look at a review of where your profit is heading on all your active jobs, how much cash is available for your active jobs, how much your estimated costs at completion are heading over and under for active jobs, that kind of thing. There's a whole other help for this right here behind this help for this button. But those are two things that you want to go to right away, so I put those buttons there. And if it's telling you that you have unread comments, that message there is going to tell you to use the comments button to go look for messages that are to you. So that's right there too. And then just because when you initially set up CHS, you will set up the company master to give it your address, information that you want to print on reports about your company, address, email address, etc. I have that there because that's one of the first things. And you might be needing to change permission levels for your various users. There is a video about that when you open it, a help video right there, so I'm not going to go into that, but you might want to do that real quickly, so that's there. And then I have a link, there's a button here for seminar videos, which is sort of me spitting out all the training I used to do in a day or so for people. I've spit that out on videos, which are shorter videos than the detailed tutorial videos that you will be getting on so many of the screens, like you saw that there was a help video on user permissions. Okay, let's get into how this whole screen works. What these are called are expanding menus. And let's say you come into CHS and you're just wanting to work on accounts payable. These along this line might be post new payables bills, wanting to look at unpaid payables and then print checks, select bills to pay and print checks, or you're wanting to look at the big database of everything you've entered to payables or accounts payable aging, things like that. So maybe you expand all the ones that go with payables. Also, when you're doing payables, you're using vendors that you set up, which might be suppliers, trade, etc. So maybe while you're doing payables, you're going to want to jump over and edit or add a vendor. So you could expand all along this line and keep these open so that if you leave the window, say you decide to go post a bill from scratch, it's telling me I have some recurring, but let's just do the add new bill. You do that, and it's still open here if you suddenly want to do vendors list because you expanded it. So if you're all through using some expanded menus here, you can collapse all the menus with the collapse all menu buttons so that you can see all of them again. And maybe you're just going to be working on budgets and change orders and maybe looking at your estimated cost at completion because you're a project manager or a field person, that kind of thing. You might just have these open and then they'll stay open when you leave and then come back. First of all, next, let's collapse that. Next, I'd like to show you the very powerful index that is here if I take this away, let's see. When you first open this, it will say start typing and drop-down list will filter as you type. So if I'm interested in working on a job budget and I start typing budget, I'm seeing financial budgets, but I'm also getting job budgets pretty quickly. I'm getting some options here for whether I want to see a list of all budgets and jobs without budgets, or if I just want to go to that jobs dashboard, which would be the same as clicking this button, and select a job and work on everything for the job, including the budget. There's a list of all budgets, jobs with and without budgets here, which can be handy to see which jobs you haven't created a budget for, but that's a whole other video. And then of course in the menu, when I go to job budgets, I'm going to get that same kind of window. But this is a fast way if you're just wanting a list of checks or something. You might put checks and then look for list of checks. And then you'll go to the menu for selecting some filters before you open your list of checks, etc. Or under cash, credit cards, bank recs, you'll see list of checks. You might see that also some other places under payables. So you have that option where you could just start using the index if you're wondering where something is and you're wondering behind which button it might be. So that's basically how you use the main menu to navigate around CHS. And then I'll be doing over here, first of all, of course, when you first get CHS, one thing you'll want to do is CHS setup steps and start following through these. There's videos behind all of these, and you should set up CHS in the order that those are in. The general usage tips is actually where we'll have this menu, tips for main menu. And then the very next video that I'm going to do is a quick overview of how you search lists and print reports that are results of your search. And I'll introduce you to how we are tracking changes, edits, various things that happen to your records, and storing a record about it and who made the change and when they made the change. And then a little more tutorials about job dashboard and owner reviewer here, just for general usage tips, because those are sort of overall. And then I mentioned the CHS seminar videos again, which will take you to our seminar. So that's all I'd like to say to get you started a little bit, get you familiar with what the menu will be. And again, welcome to CHS.